Look at us wearing matching outfits.
Oh, that's for my branding, right? You're me.
Absolutely, I thought carefully. What would Mel be wearing? I got the memo.
All right, we're good to go when you are.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, first of all, a massive, huge thank you to Mel for taking 40 minutes out of her very busy schedule. And believe me, she is a very busy lady and very honored and very privileged to have her here
Thank
this
you.
evening. And so, Mel, huge, massive thank you very, very, very much. And we're going to dive straight into some questions, some of which I've come up with, some of which the women who are attending the webinar this evening or will watch the recording have come up with as well. But very quickly, Mel, tell us a little bit about how you became a male dating coach.
Firstly, can you see me all right? It looks a bit dark. Do I need to put some lights on, or is it okay?
It's okay. It's a little bit dark, but
You
it's
want me to just
we
put
got
my
it
name
okay.
on and answer your question? Is that too bright?
No,
Is that better?
that's better.
All right. How do I become a mating coach?
Oh, I like that mating coach.
A dating coach for men. So it began about a year and a half ago now, and I gave into my calling of working in the coaching space. It started as a life coach, but my passion fell in the space of helping and working with men, and also in the romance sector. So I'm old, despite the strong, super confident exterior, I'm just a big, mushy love ball in the middle of it all. And so I found a way of combining my passion for working with men. I have a history that you may or may not be interested in today about why I've always worked with men and how I've always been able to build a rapport with them. And then combining that with the life coaching, but niching down and specializing in the romance sector.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about why men specifically.
Okay, so I've always worked with men. I'm ex-corporate for 22 years, working right up at ministerial level. I've met 3 prime ministers. So I've always worked in that really high performance space with generally, sadly, highly proportionate men in the high levels of management. And what I found was I was able to build rapport with them in a really different way quite easily. I would always be the one that would have to knock on the boardroom door to interrupt and pass a message because the other EAs were uncomfortable kind of interrupting. And I'm like, they're just people. Okay, they're the bosses. They're really high flying bosses, but you act in a certain way. And I was never intimidated by them. So I think that's kind of where it stems from, that corporate background.
Yeah, awesome. And so many women are intimidated, especially by powerful men. And we're going to talk about powerful and resourceful men. And I think it's really important to say here that, Mel, the clients that you have are resourceful men. They're not the guys who are hanging out on Tinder going, oh, God, I want to shag on a Saturday night. These are
Oh no,
high-flying, resourceful men.
no. I'm what I call a heart-centered coach. Most coaches are, granted, but I obviously with the industry I'm in, but specialize in men. I have a very privileged role, and I'm very honored to have men be vulnerable with their failings as they see it in a dating space. Um, Especially when there's divorce that's come as a result. So, it's, and we'll get into this, why this is so important for men. And it's just an honor to be around them. And I forgot my point already because I'm putting myself in that place of, so the clients are already in that headspace of personal development. That's where I was going with this. But it brings me back to my earlier statement. They're still humans. They might be men, they might be successful men, they might be business owners, whatever. They could, some of them are even public figures, but they're still just guys at the end of the day, and some of them are just little boys looking to be loved and accepted. So even I have to take a deep breath when I meet with a new client in that space for the first time, and it's like, all right, he's just another guy. Oh
Yeah,
God, he's
human
really famous.
beings.
Or, yeah, you just gotta, you know what? He wants my help. So is he that different? Is he that distinguished? He's just the guy who's struggling like the rest of
Yeah.
us.
Absolutely. And aren't we all on some level as human beings? You know,
But
absolutely.
that's the definition of being a human.
Yes, thank God. We are not alone. All right, so let's jump into the first question. This one is, we're going to open with a meaty one, Mel.
All right,
Okay,
go for it.
the statement is, men can't handle powerful women. And this has come through, this is a statement that I have sort of come up with from various questions that women have asked me around. Here's an example. Would a guy date a woman who is fitter than him or better at a particular sport? In brackets, I tend to stand out in my boxing classes or at the gym. Or how do I broach the subject of a career? Because lots of my clients themselves are very high-flying, very powerful business owner, high-earning women. How would I broach the subject of career with a man during the early stages of dating, especially when I'm highly successful? And I suppose really what we're hearing here is, it's emasculation, isn't it? Which is something that you and I are both exceptionally really passionate about, you know, the sort of move of the emasculation of man that seems to be happening at the moment. And I suppose really what my clients are asking is, how do you stand in your power as an awesome, resourceful, strong, fit, emotionally intelligent, highly successful, high-earning woman without emasculating a man? And how do you even bring that into conversation without downplaying how bloody awesome we are as women?
Wow. You've given me 37 minutes left or something. You want me to do all of that?
4 years later, we finish answering the question.
All right. You took the word out of my mouth. It's emasculation. Now, I didn't know that was a thing, even though I was doing it myself back in the corporate world. So I might keep me on track here. Facilitate me, please, if I lose the thread. The way we emasculate is not intentional. And I'm just talking here women to men. Even men to men do it. So the why is actually more important than the how. So why we do it is because, as you say, we're freaking awesome human beings. We've worked really hard in the last 40 years for equality, and quite right. And it's still not there. We still have work to do. But what's happened as a byproduct, inadvertently, is we've shunned men away. We as a culture, as a society, saying, hey, I'm so freaking awesome, I don't need a man in my life. And good, great, you don't need a man. That's the first thing we should always get to, is we don't need someone, we want someone. We welcome into our life. And this is the same for both sexes. Why we emasculate is because we don't want to give up that security, that independence that we have just been told to work really hard for. Why we emasculate men is because we security is actually really high for feminine energy, for women. It's an innate programming to have security and comfort and safety are really high on our preconditioned values. We're not talking personal, we're talking about the psychologically ingrained programming differences between men and women. So that's why we do it, is we worked really hard to create the lifestyle, the friendships, all the rest of it. And we don't want to lose that or diminish it or have it diluted by sharing our life with a man. Now, how we do it is in several different forms. It depends on a female's experience with men in life. It depends on her role modeling from parents and all the rest of it. But how we do it comes across in a couple of different ways. One, we just tell and act and do all the things that just makes him feel like there's no space for him. He can't do anything to fit in or even please. Now, to help women who may or may not understand this stuff, a man's desire is to please a woman. Now, we're talking about the evolved, the ones who are balanced with a masculinity. They're the ones who may or may not want to treat the woman like his queen. Now, I prefer that statement, king and queen, because for me, it's the regality that we seek as true evolved women. We're so empowered, we're so independent. I want to behave in a certain way. Now, this isn't status or class, this is how I behave as a female. I want to be treasured, I want to be cherished, I want to be treated like a woman, as a lady. Some people take offense to the lady thing, whatever, I want to be treated like a lady. And so men actually, coming into their condition in their program, they want to provide the security. They need to be needed. Men have that desire to do things to please the woman or women, family members included in their life. So I feel I just run out of that thread. So please.
No, I love it. I love the way you're running with it. So what I'm hearing, and I just randomly cut out there for a minute, but I'm back. But what I'm hearing you say is that it's not about how much we have achieved as a woman or how much money we have in the bank or how big our muscles are. It's about coming from a place of being very clear about the fact that regardless as to all this stuff that we may have and have done and the achievement that we have, is that really deep down we still want to be nurtured and that we are open to being nurtured by a man, which is really what he wants to do back to us. And it's not about I'll pay your rent or I'll kill the saber-toothed tiger anymore, but it is indicating to a man in a very beautiful and feminine way that yes, of course, I run my own business and I'm exceptionally successful, but when I'm with you, my love, you are important, and I am willing to be nurtured by you and to nurture you back.
And if I may jump in there, the way we emasculate in that particular situation is by taking away his ability to do things for us. So if I take my own example, like I said, I'm pretty busy at the moment. And so my beau, he will do things for me. And if I be all independent, I can do it. Of course I can do it. He's not implying I can't. But if I take away the opportunity for him to do things for me by standing on my own 2 feet, by running my business, by blah, 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 where can he be a man?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I've got to say,
masculine energy, there's no space for him.
Yeah. And that is the quickest way to shrivel a man's bollocks, isn't it? Let's be honest about it. Let's not beat around the bush. I have to say, I am potentially one of the world's worst cooks. Potentially, I think if there was an award, it would go to me. And so my guy is absolutely, without doubt, he is the person who cooks and provides that for me, and I'm so grateful for it. And I think we are still sometimes stuck in the sort of gender typical roles. You can actually be a receiver and have a man serve you and protect you and nurture you and give to you, and you can still need him in so many different ways these days. It's not about whether or not you punch harder at the gym or whether your bank balance is bigger or not. There are definitely ways that you can allow a man to provide for you, and it's so important that you do that.
Yeah, there's so many things I want to respond in there, and it's about the balance. If let's jump on that domestication that you mentioned. If you don't have a skill or an attribute or even desire to cook, then, and he does, then why would either of you shy away from that balance you can bring to your relationship? The masculine and feminine debate, I think, still has a long way to go. And even that alpha status and that what that means. And so for me, a macho alpha is the negative, but a true alpha is the ability to be compassionate, the ability to step up in the supporting role as much as get up in the middle of the night to face the bumps. There's the balance has to be around both of your skills, attributes, and desires. I'm quite masculine. I've learned how to be feminine, but I can tell you, no one sees me, actually sees me for me, but nobody gets to witness me the way he does. The vulnerability, the femininity I have and express around him is because I found someone that I can completely trust, but somebody who is emotionally intelligent, yet he wields all sorts of tools during the day So he has that balance of emotional intelligence and he can wield a sword.
Yeah.
That to me is a true alpha. And the way we emasculate is we don't let them have either of those traits. And the poor guys are stumbling around in the dark, being told by media, being told by their mates to not be a pussy, to grow some concrete, to, you know, they're causing the situation where men don't know where they fit in. If the women, we're doing it as well. Don't open the door for me, I can do it myself. Don't do the shopping for me, I can do it myself. It's like,
Yeah.
no one said you couldn't.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
respecting you. He's trying to make your life easy.
Which is all he wants to do. And so I suppose to answer those sort of two examples really directly, you know, of course you can punch harder or, you know, have slightly bigger biceps. That's not the problem. But, you know, when you come out of the boxing ring, are you embracing your femininity? Are you smiling? Are you being open? Are you letting him hold the door? Are you asking him, you know, would you mind terribly just passing me that towel? You know, in a way that indicates very subtly, yes, I can punch really, really hard in the boxing ring, but I still need you and I still appreciate you. And again, it goes back to, you know, if we take the sort of financial aspect of it, you know, how do you broach, well, actually, I'm a really kick-ass businesswoman. You can say that and you can say it with pride. And if he's a resourceful male, as long as he's picked up on all the other subtle hints along the way, letting him order the wine, letting him pull out the chair, he won't be threatened by that if he's a resourceful guy. Now, if you've done all the feminine stuff and let him hold the door open for you, and you know and he's let you order first, and you've been very thankful and grateful and feminine in the way that you are on that date, and then you happen to mention that you are a high-earning entrepreneur and you've got this kick-ass business, and he's completely thrown by that and completely scared, potentially he is not the resourceful guy that you're looking for anyway.
That's it in a crux. It's
Yeah.
not that women are doing anything wrong. I guess, like you said, it's how you tell and disclose your successes. So, for example, I used to be a level 5 Krav Maga student, which is pretty high for a chick in Australia. And yeah, I could hold my own. And I did that out of a childhood thing that I wanted to get my physical power back. And it did. It got me really empowered, and I've never felt afraid in the dark again. Does that mean that I don't want him to hold my hand, to stand in front of me, to protect me in a crowd? Absolutely, I want him to. And in fact, that makes me feel loved. I don't want to be the one like defending against the robber.
No,
I
thanks.
also likewise don't want him to be creating scenarios that escalate things. So I want a really evolved man who can see it for what it is. I feel we're digressing there, but you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually think that, you know, as we have done in the past, actually, you and I could just have this conversation for about 3 hours. So we will move on to the next point because we've got another couple to get through. High earning men don't have time for relationships. Where do I go to meet resourceful guys who are so busy?
Well, you've kind of got to go to the boys' clubs, ladies. I'm sorry, but that's where if you're talking about high earning, I mean, I'm stereotyping what that even means,
Yes,
because my default is the corporate because that's my background. But having said that, I've got a few fly in fly out boys on my books. I've got entrepreneurs and self-employed business owners. So you know, what does it even mean? What was the phrase your client used?
high earning men don't have
High
time
earning.
for real relationships.
Why do you even want to find a high earning man to begin with? I challenge that.
Well, do you know what? This really brought up something for me as well, which I thought was really interesting. And that is that, you know, you've got to be careful for what you wish for, don't you? So if you want to be in a relationship with, and I was in this time last year actually in a relationship with an architect, and he owned his own company. And that excited me. I was so turned on by his success. And yes, he was wealthy as a result of that. And I loved all of those bits about him. But the reality was, because of that, he did not have time. And there is this sort of thing in life, isn't there, where, you know, be really careful about, you know, wishing and hoping and wanting for a certain thing, because it will always come with some kind of cost. And so, you know, the reality is, maybe what you want to be doing is not necessarily looking for high earning people, but looking for highly resourceful people. And the likelihood is that highly resourceful people will have a handle on their finances in some way, shape, or form, regardless as to how much they're earning.
Yeah, and again, I come back to when I started understand what kind of clients I wanted to work for. Again, I come back to that corporate, but actually some of those corporates were just complete, I don't want to swear, but they weren't very nice
Do it.
people.
We love a good swear here.
They were just arseholes.
Yeah.
Who are used to getting their own way, you know, used to being in the boardrooms and having a senior management team to talk down to, unfortunately. And so some of them I just chose not to work with, to be honest. So again, I come back to the questions like, why is the money the driver? Why can't you have your own money and then he can be just this amazing human being who supports you and everything that you can be? What's your definition of success? For me is to love wholeheartedly, and that's a really, really powerful thing, and to love and be loved in return.
Yeah.
I think that's
and
the
also,
life of Moulin Rouge or something like that. That is their own magic.
And also, we're all busy. You know, we are all busy. That's, you know, we've all got 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Unfortunately, God, it would be amazing if we had 8 days a week, but then I'd still be busy. I would still fill it.
No more hours in the day, thank you.
So I suppose you're right. It's, well, everybody is busy, and potentially highly resourceful guys are not hanging out on Tinder or wasting their time just drinking at a sports bar and a club. So start thinking about where you hang out as women. You know, where do you choose to spend your time, and are you wasting your social time, or are you hanging around with like-minded people who have the same sorts of interests as you? Because that's where people that you are going to be attracted to are going to be hanging out. So it's not a case of, oh, well, all the great guys are so busy they haven't got time to date. It's go out and live your own fabulous life, doing the things that excite you and inspire you. And, you know, if you like sailing, go to a sailing club. If you like, you know,
I put my hand up on behalf of my clients. So where are the women? That's what they ask. Where are the women hanging out?
That's going to be so reassuring to so many women on this call, Mel. Honestly, it is, because I think, you know, there is quite often it's just such a one-sided thing, isn't it? It's like, well, there are no decent men out there. And I know that you have said to me before many a time that you have heard, well, there are no decent women out there either. So we are both out there. And yeah, I always say, just go forth and do the things that you love doing, and the things that interest you, just go and involve yourself in them even more. And there you will find like-minded people, regardless as to how much time they've got.
I take it the next step and get them to start ticking off their bucket list.
Yes.
Why are you waiting? Do it now.
Yeah.
You don't know what's around the corner. You have just worked your ass off for 20 years to get where you are. And let's admit, you've had a few drinks and fatty meals along the way. Why are you waiting? And you never know, on that scuba class, you might meet the love of your life doing exactly what you're doing, living it, instead of putting it on hold.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with a client of mine earlier today, actually, and she was saying how when she has a boyfriend, she wants to go and X, Y, and Z. It was actually about going and doing a retreat that she'd seen in Bali. And I was like, go and do it now, because if that's what you want to be doing with him, chances are he's out there doing it now. And if you sit at home waiting for him before you go off and do that, you're going to be waiting a really long time.
And
go and do the thing that you want to be doing.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
The challenge from the male perspective is they're really status driven. So they want to have all their ducks lined up so that they have the package to offer when they meet her. And I'm like, stop that. Exactly what you're saying. We both coach the same way. We both consult the same way. Go out there and do it. Put yourself out there. Have fun. Be spontaneous, be congruent with the way you want to live your life right now, because she will find you. You will meet because you're doing exactly how you want to live your life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the point I hammer home time and time again, and I will never, ever, ever hammer home any other point. Okay, this one is really interesting, actually. Actually haven't had this conversation. This will be really interesting. Dating with children is hard. How do I tell him gracefully and early on that I have children? And how do I find out again early on what his values are around parenting and around children, especially if he doesn't have his own, without directly without asking him directly and sounding crazy? Do you have children? Do you like children? What kind of parent would you be?
Yeah, no, don't do that. That for a man, that's just going to shut him down and make him run for the hills. So the way men date and the way women date is quite different. My suggestion would always be to be open and honest at a time that feels right. Now, yeah, the first day it might come up in conversation. So I don't want children. I don't have children. And the first time I met my partner, it came up in conversation. It was organic, it was open, it was transparent. So we talked about it there and then. And we were both like, oh, you know, awesome. But if it hadn't come up naturally, I would suggest that you let him bring it up when he's ready, because women are more intuitive. We get an instinct pretty quickly whether energetically we're aligned. Men take a little bit longer to work that stuff out. I think we all know that, but I'm just going to state it. Sometimes I'm just banging my head on the brick wall going, she likes you, she's giving you all the signals. They're a bit lacking in those interpretations sometimes. So if he's interested in you, and let's be honest, I mean, I'm turning 40 this year. You're in your late 30s, aren't you, hon?
I am indeed.
Yeah. So we're hanging around the people who probably have children, or at least are aware of whether they want children or not. It's like that's the caliber of people, or rather the maturity and age of people. And so to use the word caliber, is that should be fairly high on both of your minds. Is there a family to be aware of? But I would let him bring it up, because what you will learn from that is when he's ready to take it to the next stage.
Yeah, that is such a great point. And I definitely have heard women say, well, the moment I brought up children, he ran away. Like, well, that's because he hasn't worked out yet whether or not he's in or out. And what you've done is kick him out, really. And what advice would you give for women who already have children, who, because we do live in a world of blended families, don't we? And I suppose a few of my clients do have children, and so that is a massive consideration when choosing a partner, because you're not just choosing a partner necessarily for yourself, you're also choosing somebody who is going to influence your own children very much so, and potentially he might have children or might not have children. That can be not a values clash, but you do need to work out whether or not you're on the same sort of parenting page.
Yeah. I don't think I have a client that doesn't have a child. I'm racking my brains. I think every single one of them has a child.
Wow.
So it's natural for them. These are decent guys. I don't work with the idiots. And so the role model that they're seeking is important to them. So like I said, let them bring it up, because that will let you know when he's ready to have the conversation about what the next step is. So that's my answer, is let him bring it up. If he doesn't, there's probably something in it that you should be aware of, and instead of denying it and rushing it. Let me ask it this way. Isn't there something beautiful in the concept of being asked something you've been dying for him to ask you on the date, asked to kiss you the first time, asked to pick you up from your house, all those firsts? So why would you take away that excitement of, oh my God, we had the children conversation tonight?
Yeah.
This is what the emasculation is about. We're in such a hurry. He's got to tick all my boxes. He's got to just become friends first. Just slow things down.
Enjoy the process.
Stop being in such a hurry, ladies. I'm sorry. Says
Yeah.
Mel, who moved in with her partner within a week. But anyway, this is a different story.
Yours is a beautiful story, though. Actually, I do have to say, and it is a unique story in lots and lots of ways. But I also think there is something to be said about when you know, you know. And what I love about your story, Mel, is that actually the types of conversations that you had with your partner on day one meant that you had values checked off already, and you can tell so much by how, especially if a man has already got children, or if you mention your own children in passing conversation, he asks you if you've got children, you talk about them, you'll be able to tell by the way that he talks, by the way, and don't ignore those, don't listen just for the words, like how is he saying it. If he talks about his children, does he talk about them with this huge, delightful look on his face? Because that's going to tell you about the kind of parent that he is. Does he say, oh, yeah, I see my children once every other weekend and don't really have any contact with them in between because my ex-wife is a bitch? Because that is going to tell you something about the type of lifestyle that he is living and the type of values that he has. And it may very well be that his ex-wife is a bitch, but, you're a father for life, right? You can still pick up the phone and speak to your children every day.
Yeah. You said it right there, is if you can't read between the lines, then you shouldn't be dating. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brutal,
you can't expect him to turn around and say, I am a great father because da 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 da.
No, sorry, that's not the cure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
you'll be able to tell by man's values.
I'm not trying to bring people down, and trust me, I can be a bit direct with my clients, and I'm just like, seriously, like, wake up. But sometimes we kind of like, oh yeah, that's true, and we just need that outside perspective. So yeah, I'm being a bit direct, but I'm saying it with love because you want the answer. So I'm just cutting it short.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Direct is my approach. These ladies are used to direct. Don't worry about that. That's why I got you on. Men are only attracted to younger women and are only after one thing. That's a statement. What do you believe to be true or not at all true about
that? It's true and false.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll start with the negative.
Yeah.
The element is true to some men. Now, that is a really sweeping statement, and I take a little bit of defensive stance on behalf of all men, that it is a stereotype. However, there is some truth behind it. So I'll unpack that a little bit, and then I'll go into the falseness. Men do seek, psychologically, prehistorically, reptile brain, they do seek younger women. Subconsciously.
Yeah.
Now, why is because when you bring it back to the cave days, and it's also why do men check women out? That's something I get asked a lot. Is they're preconditioned to check a woman out because of procreation, because of survival, because of evolution of the human race. I say evolution because if he picks a woman who happens to be pregnant to another warrior's, another guy, a warrior in another clan, he would literally die. So he has to be very careful, and that's why the checking out is actually. I did a video about a year ago, and I recorded men in the street checking out women, and then I approached him afterwards and said, "Why do you check that girl out?" And he went, "I did it," and I'm like. Are you denying it, or you don't know that you did it? And the ones who didn't know that they did it were shocked when I replayed and go, you think you're checking her out here? And they were shocked. They don't even, it's like a butterfly. I call it the butterfly effect. They see a butterfly going past and they're back to where they were. Now, to bring it back to why do men seek younger women? It's because of the procreation. Again, it's the less evolved men are preconditioned to want to procreate. Now, subconsciously, the evolved men, hopefully, or some of my clients, I question them on it. It's like, some of them, I've got a client in his 50s who wants to have a baby again. And I'm like, are you crazy? You're going to be like 70 when the kid's a teenager. Why do you want that? Not because
it sounds exhausting.
Sorry?
It just sounds exhausting having a baby that late.
I'm not judging him for it. I'm just like, have you thought this through?
Sure.
And he actually hadn't. So what he was actually saying is, I'll accept any woman, even if she wants to have a baby. And I'm like, why would you set yourself up for that if you haven't thought that through? And he actually came back to, he's like, yeah, no, actually, I don't want another kid. It's subconscious stuff that's driving them. So the falseness behind that statement is not all men are driven by sex. Not all men are only interested in casual or not interested in commitment. That's not true. A high population of unevolved, you use resourceful, I use the words evolved. Those who are aware of what they're doing. Like, I don't want somebody who's not aware.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if one of my male clients has a woman who wants a baby again at 40, 50, and I'm like, well, is that what you want? She might be amazing. She might be the love of your life. Is that what you want for your life? So the first question I always ask is, what do you want from your life? You've got a clean slate. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to live it? So
that's so important. Start with lifestyle and work backward.
That's what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to, well, where do you find decent men? Wherever you want to be hanging out.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to find the man that's going to make you happy, because you're going to be doing the thing that makes you happy.
Yeah, it aligns with you already.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, men check women out, and that's cool. It's called evolution. And let's be honest, if a man wasn't looking, if men had never looked for healthy, fit, vital women with whom they could procreate, we wouldn't be sitting here today as the human race. We would have disappeared off the face of the planet. So there is a massive, a fair amount of survival of the species that goes along with that. And like you say, I think, you know, there are some very resourceful or evolved men out there who understand that, yes, to look at, this is beautiful, but actually does what she say, does what she do, her values, does that align with the sort of lifestyle I want to live? And, you know, younger women come with a different set of criteria. You know, they absolutely do.
Sorry, I lost a thought. I was listening to you, and then I thought, oh, there was something I wanted to say there. No, carry on. It's okay.
Yeah, well, if it comes back, just blurt it out.
Thanks.
So I think the reassuring thing is there that, you know, if you are seeing a guy and he's only after one thing, and then potentially he's not the guy for you anyway. What are you doing with him?
He definitely
not. And to reassure the ladies, there are definitely lots of men out there who, yes, they may turn behind them and look at a woman as she walks past if she's young and got a tight skirt on, and, you know, that's okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that he wants to go and marry her, because that's not the life that he wants to create for himself.
Oh, that's a thought I was going to talk about. And so I challenge women who are offended by guys checking ladies out and saying, well, I don't know, you did your hair today. I can tell you're looking pretty. You put some makeup on. You put a nice shirt on.
I did. I was not looking like this earlier now.
So we make an effort to be noticed. And if you're threatened by your sister walking down the street looking equally good, that's not actually about him. Why is it okay for you to dress up in the attention of other men, but it's not right for the man you're dating to check out other women? As long as it's clean and honest. I point women out. I'm like, oh my God, she is a gorgeous woman. I'm celebrating womanhood. I'm not insecure. My man's not going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, he's more likely to stay because you go, God, did you see that waitress? She was stunning.
Yeah.
He's far more likely to be like, yeah, she was, and I feel free to express that and safe to express that, because I know that she feels, my woman feels safe enough with me to express that in front of me. And I think that's,
and what's awesome is when he turns around and says, yeah, but you've got a nicer smile, or yeah, but, and you're like, really? I thought she was amazing. And you're saying she wasn't. Cool.
Yeah. More of that one, please. Okay, and here we have the last question of the day. Why do men pull away? And should I always let him take the lead? So it's kind of almost, it's a two-part question, isn't it? And I do know, and I hear this all the time, especially at in the very early stages of dating. Women say, "Oh my God, he's just kind of disappeared off the face of the planet. We were kind of texting every day," or, you know, all of a sudden he's gone away with the boys this weekend, and, you know, and they try and chase. And someone said something to me brilliantly the other day, which was that anything that you're chasing is running away from you, by definition.
All right, ladies, imagine the bird cage. You've heard this analogy?
I have not. Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah. So
just searching for
it. If we have a bird in our house and we open the door and we kind of put a finger out and we want the bird to come to us, is it not much more rewarding for the bird to come to us? I'm a cat person, so I love it when the cat comes up to me and gives me a cuddle, than doing the chasing and then they're wriggling and they don't want to, or you have to catch the bird to stroke it, and all the time you can feel it wanting to get away. That's kind of how the guys feel. One of their highest things is freedom. So as soon as we start chasing, they feel trapped. So the statement is, why does he pull away? Because he needs space.
Yeah.
If you're conscious that he is pulling away, why would you go after it? Mm-hmm. If you are making statements that's insightful enough to say, I feel a change and he's doing something different, why aren't you asking, well, what does he need, rather than, I'm not getting what I want?
Yeah.
And that goes for both sexes, but men in particular. If he's pulling away, let him. Two things will happen. Yeah. He will take his time out and he'll come back to you and he will start chasing you again. To answer the second part, yes, let him chase. Or he will keep running, in which case, you know where you stand. And exactly, not worth it. I had a client.
He was never yours to begin with.
I know we're over time. I'll go really quickly, but I had a female client contact me. And she said, I just need half an hour of your time. I just want to validate this opinion. It was going really well. I'm going to talk really quickly now. Going really well. Had 2 amazing dates. Took her to Versace on the Gold Coast, like really treated well. And this is a classy lady, not one of the Gold Coast young ladies. And he's a CEO. What happened? He's just disappeared after the second date. And I went, we'll never know. So you've left a text message saying, hey, is your phone broken down? You've left a voice message. And she's, I'm just going to send a third one. I went, no. You sent him 2. He's a resourceful guy. You've already been friends on Facebook. He can get you that way. He knows where you live. He can get a snail mail or flowers or something to you. If he hasn't been in touch, he's trying to tell you something. And she's like, but he was wonderful. I said, no, he's not. He's been incongruent. He told you he wanted to court you. He told you these things. Now he's not backing up with action. He's told you everything you need to know. You cannot rely on him. It changed her whole perspective. She's, oh my God, I was feeling like a teenage girl rejected. It's like, don't chase.
Yeah.
See if he'll come back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he does, awesome. And when he comes back, it's not, well, where did you go? It's, hi.
Well, I actually say, maybe you would coach your clients differently. I would say, for me, it's not about teaching and molding. There is teaching, but it's not training. That's the word. I hate that word training, man. It's just like, well, I've been on 2 dates since, and this is happening, and I've booked this, and I've carried on with my life. I didn't put my life on hold on you.
Yeah.
So you're teaching him how you want to be treated. And if he's like, what do you mean you booked another date? What do you mean? It's like, well, I haven't heard from you in 5 days. We've been in contact every day for 3 weeks. I assumed you weren't interested and I've moved on. Now, whatever happens, we can work through, but otherwise.
Yeah, it's so true. I always say there's a scale, and you have a scale of priorities, and how hard a man is working for your affection bumps him up or down that scale. And so when he pulls back, all of a sudden, all the other things get more important again, like spending time with your family, going out on other dates with other men, sleeping, working. He's on a sliding scale, and I'm going to be conscious of my language, but it's you and my clients know me, and you know me, so I'm going to say it anyway. He wants to work for you. Yeah. He wants to feel like he's earning you.
Yeah.
And so it's okay. Like, yes, you don't just stop and wait and hope and hold your breath that he's going to come back in. You carry on with your fabulous life. Absolutely.
Yeah. You're not honoring yourself or your future relationship. It's just being needy.
Yeah, it is. And it's showing a complete devaluation of yourself, of your own time, of your own resources. And he'll pick up on that. And that's not particularly attractive.
Yeah. I'll just share the quick story of how it worked for me and my partner. I actually had a date lined up for the day. So I had a first date one day, met my partner the next day, and on the third day I had a second date from the first guy. And the night I met my partner, I said, I've got a date tomorrow. I'm not going to go on it because poor guy, he just doesn't measure up in comparison. And I did two things. One, it kicked him in like, oh God, she's actually dating. And two, she's got values, and I'm honoring both men. I didn't need to play them off. I'd already worked out. It's like, sorry, first guy, oh, you were great, but now like you don't even compare. So
the bar has been raised.
It's important. And so 48 hours after we met, you went, I know you're dating other men. I don't have a problem with that, except I do. And I want to go exclusive. Is that okay for you? And I got off the phone like a little girl. I'm like, 40-year-old woman. Like, seriously. It was amazing to have him say, you know what? I value what we've had in the last 48 hours so much. I don't want to share you until we know that it's not right. That is what a man will do when you value yourself.
Yeah.
And he still says, I haven't got you until I got a ring on it.
Yeah. How lovely.
Men think.
That ring's going to be big, hey?
No. Emily.
I know, I'm winding you up. You wouldn't care if it was a Coke ring, a Coke pull ring, would you?
What's really? A Coke ring? Moving on.
You know, like from a Coke can.
Oh, yeah. All right. Any other questions? Let's move on.
It has been such an awesome, such a useful webinar. Thank you so much for your insights. And I think it's also been really reassuring. I think, you know, quite often women feel like they are just talking a completely different language, and we do talk a different language. So it's been very nice to have an interpreter on the line with us this evening. So Mel, thank you so very much. And ladies, if you want to check Mel out, I'm going to put a link to her page on our Facebook group. Mel,
I'll share a couple of books that I think the women might find really helpful. So these are two books that I really refer to a lot when I'm coaching my men. One is The 1 Minute Goddess. By Jean-Pierre LeBlanc and Michael Hall, and this one I can't pronounce the surname. The Female Brain, but there's also one, The Male Brain, by Luann Reisendine.
The Male Brain is
amazing resources, and you absolutely should read them. That one took me 3 days. It was really good to read.
Awesome, Mel. You've been a champion. Thank you ever so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye, ladies.